Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. In today's video, I want to showcase you guys how to play like 601's best, and well, I'm talking about none other than Cast. He did exceptionally well in the top 8 and managed to secure his place in the top 4 last weekend with a very iconic playstyle. He's exceptionally good at mid-range, and that's exactly what I'm going to try and emulate in this game and explain to you how to make it work. So I decided to go for a steel ball pack, and that's kind of the comp that I'm going to be talking about. It's steel ball plus hound starters. You can start with crawlers, of course, like I am here, and then just buy the hounds later yourself. But what you're gonna do is that instead of placing the units all the way up on the line and being extremely aggressive, you're gonna be a bit more flexible and play the units a little bit closer to tower, but still further forward than you would if you were, say, defending. So we've got the hounds up front here to chaff clear, crawlers right behind to kind of support them, provide some distraction for them so they survive longer, and also this way they will kind of trickle through the hounds and spread out a bit more nicely, which will be more tricky for your opponent's chaff clear to kill. Now, I'm up against Sacco here. He's a speed specialist. I am a quick supply specialist. And in this scenario, I kind of felt like holding on to my money. When you're quick supplying, there's a couple things you can do. Either you can buy, let me just pause here so I can talk about what I want to say. You can buy some very strong extra 200 cost units on round 1, right? And go for 4 200 costs. But here, that doesn't make too much sense. There aren't a lot of 200 costs here that would pair very nicely with the steel balls and the hounds. And what I really want to do is get maybe some early hound range going. So that's another option that you have as quick supply, kind of holding on to your cash and being able to quickly get, techs on some of your important units quicker than you normally would be able to if you weren't quick supply. Now, steel balls here going to be supporting the hounds. They are quicker, so I'm putting them a little bit further back, and I'm also trying to make sure they don't get pulled in towards the mid wall here. So that's why you can see there's a bit of a left side bias. And yeah, third crawler pack all the way in the back there to kind of create that second wave. Now, not an amazing first round here, because it turns out Sacco with the sabers and the arc lights is on the line. And, well, he very quickly kills my hounds, and then my steel balls are kind of left to their own devices as the arc lights get rid of the crawlers. So, not an amazing start here, and I didn't start with a lot of hit points either, so we're gonna need to stabilize this quickly if we can. Round number 2, immediately we have unit reinforcements, and I was thinking here, ooh, should I maybe go into Wraith, because it's gonna be tricky here to make the hounds work. But then I saw the marksman, and I thought to myself, well, there's a good chance Sacco goes for marksman here. He knows as well that a transition for me would be to go into ball wraith, and, well, the marksman would set him up nicely for that with the aerial specialization. So I felt like, ooh, like what am I gonna do here? I pick up the Phoenix because it just felt like a solid unit. Good DPS and airborne, so it won't be able to get taken out by the sabers, but still be able to fight back against those tanks. And, well, I'm kind of thinking to myself, I will need to commit to Hound. And so that's where this mid-rangey playstyle comes in. With what you will see is basically a Hound staircase. So you kind of build slowly from the left, which is going to be the closest to the line, and then all the way back to the right, where you're going to be defending your tower. Now, I decided to pick up a Crawler and a Phoenix here on the right side instead of picking up another Hound. So again, I am kind of keeping my money here as I'm deploying a Crawler to prevent these Hounds from instantly dying, and then a Crawler plus a Phoenix on the right side to try and push in and hopefully get a quick tower debuff. I could have gone for a missile here, but the anti-armor cannon doesn't die to it, so I didn't really want to waste those resources. Maybe I should have, though. I just go for Attack Enhancement 1 instead, banking 100. What Attack Enhancement 1 does is it allows your same level Hounds to kill Crawlers. So level 1 Hound is now able to kill level 1 Crawler as long as the opponent doesn't have Defense Enhancement 1 or is a Fortified Specialist. And that's useful because, well, you'll kill the Crawlers more quickly, at least for 1 round, and hopefully be able to get those important levels to, well, be able to chaff clear somewhat. Left side still not looking great, a little bit better. We take out a Sabertooth. Right side, sadly, getting stalled because Sacco was, well, smart enough there to put a Fang, and, well, it looks like the anti-armor cannon ended up killing enough crawlers for the Fangs to deal with the remainder. Round number 3, heavy armor shows up. I decide to pick it up, and Sacco goes for efficient tech research. That would have been an option too, but I felt like the heavy armor here could be useful in the steel balls. It's tricky though, because the steel balls didn't really get a lot of experience, so I might struggle leveling that. But if I can, it'll be very useful. Keep in mind, this steel ball is currently going to be able to at least tank one shot from the same level Sabertooth, so there is a bit of a breakpoint there. We immediately go for range on the hounds, so, you know, a little bit early here. We've used all of our cash, and hopefully we're going to be able to transition this into a win. But yeah, Sacco going for the first defense enhancement, so crawlers won't be able to get one-shot anymore. Thankfully, hounds are kind of getting some experience here and there, although I had to buy a couple of new ones. And here, I might even have to start thinking about grabbing the second attack enhancement if I don't get any hound levels, because the biggest problem that I'm having is chaff clear. If I can clear the chaff quick, then maybe my steel balls can lock onto the enemy targets, and that could be fine. But as long as that doesn't happen, you know, I just need to fix that problem first before I start worrying about DPS. Opponent here goes for more arc lights. Was thinking about heavy armor from what we could see, or not heavy armor, but armor plating. Ends up undoing that, just buys a bunch more chaff, crawler in the back, Fang, and another arc light on the right. And then goes for secondary armaments on the sabers. Now, this can be a useful tech against Hound, but, you know, with the range currently, I should be sitting somewhat safe. And it's not the best into steel balls either. You need very high level sabers to be able to actually kill steel balls with that tech. But it looks like still he's doing quite well. Right side, thankfully, managed to push through. We added a Hound over there and some more chaff, so we are able to grab a debuff. But is it going to be enough? Doesn't really look like that's going to be the case. So I am going to lose my left side tower. And the Phoenixes are in a very precarious position. So, yeah, things just not really working out here the way that I would want to, right? Thankfully, my opponent is not some type of money specialist, because that would be even worse, meaning that he would skill better than me. But still, I haven't been able to convert my early game lead with the money, and that is a problem. So we're currently down to 2,000 hit points already. Round number 4. Underground Threat and Orbital Bombardment, 2 spells we have to think about. Advanced Defensive Tactics could be useful, but too expensive right now. As I said, I have problems to solve. My hounds are not leveling, so I really, really wanted to try and get the second attack enhancement here to get past that painful hurdle of clearing the chaff. And so there we go. I go for the Underground Threat, just to try and, you know, deal with a potential aggressive Underground Threat from Sacco, which he does go for. I kind of gamble it towards the right side in the middle to cover these 2 areas, because the left should be fine. I have a crawler over there, and it makes it less likely he's going to put the underground on that side. Of course, he could still go for a tech here, you know, replicate or drill, but I can't really worry too much about that, because I have to take some risks to try and get back into the game. Now, I decided to buy another steel ball here, because I felt like my opponent's army was relatively weak to steel balls. If I can get into something like Mechanical Division, the arc lights will really struggle. They're not meant to perform well in these shorter range scenarios, and while my hounds haven't been doing well, I may be able to catch up here at some point, especially now I have the double attack enhancement, and I may be able to get levels and get into mech rage at some point. Of course, Saber is not the best into steel ball either, so that was my plan moving forward. Left side, we seem to be doing relatively well, as we are managing to take down those sabers. The hounds are able to fight back decently well too. Sacco here went for range on the arc lights, which is doing a great job overall. I at least defended my right side tower from getting debuffed instantly, but it looks like I'm still going to be taking some damage. So 4 rounds in, we haven't been able to touch Sacco, and we're down to 1,300 hit points. Oof. Yeah, we really got to trust the setup here. Ion Blast shows up. I feel like I'm somewhat forced to pick that. Electromagnetic Blast, I guess, would be another, but let's be honest here. This is just such a powerful spell. 3-round cooldown, and I have a nice line of units to try and aim for. It's a bit tricky for me. I mean, you know, he could try and use it on my side as well, but hopefully we'll just be able to trade and at least prevent ourselves from dying. I'm going to go for more steel balls now. I feel like I've fixed my chaff clear problem with the hound attack that we picked up. And now I want to try and make sure that my hounds can survive and I can start striking back in the DPS department. So the steel balls here, overloading the arc lights, should be able to do both, right? Arc lights will get stuck on them. The chaff that pops out of the steel balls will cause a lot of trouble. And then hopefully some steel balls will be still alive to be able to take down, for instance, the level 2 sabers that my opponent now has. Interestingly, Sacco doesn't go for the spells here whatsoever. So he's trying to just stay ahead in, economically, which can make sense. He's full health, so there's no way he's going to be dying here from the spell. And he can bank the 300 and try and prove an advantage that way down the line. He does use a nice mobile beacon there to try and get out of the ion beam, which is going to work decently well. At least his important units seem to be able to survive, but still, Ion Beam doing an okay job here of chaff clearing. Not the highest value, but we're doing a little bit better. We are doing a little bit better. The crawlers are still getting in. I have a ton of steel balls on that left side. The right side seems to be also able to now fight back as I added a couple more steel balls. And that should be a round win at last. And a decent win too. Quite a lot of units here survive on my side of the board. Pretty happy with that. And, well, let, the attempt at a comeback begin. Round number 6, unit reinforcements yet again. Here, I wasn't really looking for anything specific. I could go for sledgehammers on the flank. That would be an idea. I guess Fire Badger, kind of same thing. There is quite a lot of chaff to be pulled. It looks like I will be going for that. The alternative would be to maybe pick up the Farseer and try to, prevent myself from dying to some type of air cheese. Because right now all I have is unteched Phoenixes. This one at least has a level, but I don't plan to go range right now. So, yeah, that would be the alternative, I guess. Which is what Sacco goes for. Picks up the Farseer. I think he sells one. The other one goes on the top left to try and defend the flank. And we see Hackers now being purchased. Now, Hacker is a decent counter to Mechanical Division Steel Ball, but you do need to be able to ensure that you have good chaff clear. And I think he's not quite there yet, right? The arc lights are fine, but when you're pushing in this quick, they can struggle and get stuck. Immediate barrier on the Hackers. Interesting choice. I think maybe range would make sense, although I am running in, so maybe that's not necessary. The shields are not the most useful into Steel Ball, and I can probably even range them here at some point to try and break through and also stay safe from those hacks. You can see top left and top right, we are going for flanks, Fire Badgers with a crawler in the top left as well, just to try and distract. I will get hacked, sadly, in the top right, but the good thing is it's distracting, and looks like the Hacker even turns because he doesn't have the range, although it will start taking over some of my Steel Balls. Left side looking good. Those Badgers doing a great job of killing chaff and distracting the Farseer. That allows our Steel Balls to get in, and we are winning convincingly over here. Right side also able to fight back. Phoenix going to take out that Hacker. I think we would have lost there, but with a timely debuff, we may be able to close this out. Things are looking very nice indeed, and that's kind of the power of this Hound setup. You can eventually kind of get out of control and go for a whole lot of tempo moves. One of the reasons that you might want to play further back in this fashion is it allows you to also go for certain types of beacons when your opponent's defending. So let's say over here, and try to go towards the tower with a pull like this, which will pull away a lot of the units and kind of open up that diagonal. The further back your units are, the more pull effect you will get. Now, obviously, in this particular game, I actually end up playing on the line because of, a cheese I attempted on round 2, and I built off of that. But that is an option that you have. Now, this round, I don't think anything too specific happened. There were heavy armors offered, which I think did get picked up here on the Sabertooth. I may have skipped. Actually, I think I can have a look. Oh, looks like I just went for the shield airdrop here. That's a nice feature, by the way, allowing me to go back and have a look at what everyone picked. The shield on the right side just kind of there to, 1, be great against hackers, and 2, potentially deal with a spell like that oil. So very, very timely use of this this shield. And, well, I go for range on the steel balls, grab a bunch of levels, temp range, temp speed. The loan is coming out as well because I really cannot afford to lose around here. Plus, it's round 7, so honestly, not a bad time to start loaning. We sell the top right Badger because I felt like it was just going to get hacked. And we keep the one on the left since it does have some backup, at least, from the crawler. Sacco sells the Farseer and goes for a couple more hackers. And let's see. I do go for a missile interceptor on the right because I was expecting him to missile my crawlers on the line. He does. One of them gets intercepted, the other one goes down, but luckily we block that oil and we also get the benefit of the shield. And look at that, right? Steel balls with range here doing a great job. Hackers still getting stuck. A couple of crawlers here and there kind of getting through as the sabers are one-shotting the steel balls. And we're still kind of just overwhelming here. Some of the steel balls do get picked up, but with the hounds on my side, it seems like we're chaff clearing fast enough. Right side is getting in. I added another Phoenix as I wanted to try and start, you know, being a bit more dangerous in the air. And you can even see I added 2 more Phoenixes. Now I am starting to think about something like range enhancement. I'm not as worried about something like Fort AA because steel balls are quite good into forts, especially when they're untech'd with things like range. And now round number 9, or 8 rather, we have unit reinforcements. Wasp, the easiest pickup. Scorpion, of course, something that Sacco could go for, but it would kind of run counter to the hacking because he would just kill a lot of my steel balls, therefore giving me the value from the mechanical division and not get any value from the hackers because, well, all of my hackable units are dead. So that's why I guess he goes for Wasp as well. Plus, he has to deal with my potential Wasps since he didn't have any anti-air capable of dealing with that. Preemptively goes for the AA tech. Very cheap. He has the efficient tech research, so that makes sense. I didn't really want to do the same thing. I just kind of kept them in the back of the board and was hoping it would be enough. And, well, our underground threat is back online. And we go for the exact same play. As we realize, hey, you know, we could go for some replicate crawlers here, as especially Sacco's board doesn't have the best chaff clear. So if I can get replicates off, we should be in a good spot. And, well, that does require double attack and double defense enhancement, which Sacco also picked up. So we're going to have to see how this plays out. I have some crawlers in the back to help out. I have some missiles, some wasps. So I think I should be okay. I level the crawlers that have levels available because, well, we are turning this into a bit of a crawler fight. And let's just see what happens. I believe that I just bought more crawlers in this scenario, leveled up the Phoenixes. I didn't even range them at this point because it seemed like we were sitting safe anyway. If you look at the range, steel balls sitting at 100, hounds at 125, and Phoenixes 135. So even without range here, they are sitting behind all of my other units, which is why they pair so nicely with this type of a composition. And here we go, moving in, steel balls, locking onto arc lights, locking onto the shields, and the hackers just getting completely overwhelmed. The pull, so effective. I mean, we got replicated there in the top left, but it doesn't really make a difference. Like, look at this, right? Tower completely open. We've got units stranded on the left side, unable to defend it, and with 9 seconds of debuff coming through, we might even be able to fight back on the right side, which we were losing. Yeah, look at that. Overwhelming. Steel balls now cutting across. All we need to do is clean up the remainder of the units. There's no chaff that needs to be dealt with anymore. And while the marksman takes down my Phoenixes, we should be able to take everything else down. And that's honestly a sizable amount of units. And if we do the tally, it will be enough. Minus 55, just about to take the win here. Very scary one. The early game, not in my favor, but I think we approached it the correct way. Kind of identifying our priorities, realizing that, hey, I can't clear the chaff well right now. My hounds, they're lacking levels. They need more attack. If I can't get levels, then I'll just have to invest into something like attack enhancement 2 very early on and get past that hurdle. An alternative would have been to go for an early Wraith, but with the marksman drop and the expected marksman pickup, I was kind of locked into Hound. And you can see it does scale very nicely. Hound is a better chaff clear unit than Arclight in terms of speed, but it has those hurdles to come over. Thankfully, we were able to do so. I mean, we did drop down to 1300, but eventually things kind of evened out. We realized that our opponent was weak the steel balls, as all they had was sabers, arc lights, marksmen, which is just not enough. So we went for, you know, a bit of a steel ball setup, then bought more mechanical division. I mean, one of the best techs in the game in terms of its value. And, well, when we saw the hackers, we knew that we could overwhelm, use that range to break the shields, and, yeah, take the win. Couple of extra air units in there to make sure that we don't lose to, you know, a Wraith or whatever. And, yeah, utilize the flanks. Unit drops especially can be very, very useful for that, as, well, they just give you a bunch of extra deployments that you can use while still building your main army. And this is a good thing to do if you're playing this type of a comp. Now, sometimes you will be staircasing, as I mentioned at the start. We didn't really do it here, but you can sometimes kind of build your army downwards as you're defending your weak side tower. Here, both of our right sides were weak, so I was able to mount an offense from the very beginning. But if your opponent is defending symmetrically, sometimes that's going to be hard to pull off, and you kind of have to, yeah, play and trickle down your army in such a way. Going for mobile beacons here, especially from this diagonal, kind of trying to avoid chaff that is often going to be somewhere over here, can be nice. And again, flank pulls can be very effective at opening up those diagonals and getting the tower debuffs. But yeah, this is how you play mid-range, or at least one of the comps that you can try and play. Kind of focus on those Hound Ball openers, and yeah, use your mid-sized units well, including the air ones. You can go for early Phoenix, you can go for early Phantom even, which does park very nicely behind steel balls, and yeah, utilize the units at your disposal very effectively. Something like Wasp can be useful too at some point. Here we got a unit drop, but you know, if you realize that your opponent doesn't have great anti-air, going for a Wasp turn and just keeping up that pressure can be nice. Anyway, I hope that you guys liked this video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought about it. I'll make sure to also link Cast's Twitch stream in case you guys are interested in seeing more of this. I would recommend watching him. He's a very, very strong player and just a great guy overall. So yeah, with that being said, if you want to stay up to date with my latest content, please consider subscribing. If you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. And with that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.